evening, folks, and a pleasant welcome to another edition of my Lutheran Connections. This is where we discuss all things Lutherans and we secure the facts beyond emotion. Today, we are looking at asset verification. We're going to be looking at the economic and legal benefits when it comes to asset verification. Today, we have with us our brother Josiah Jokai. He's joining us from Dansbury, Connecticut. Our colleague Jerry Tableau, um, Brother Batam Ibelewi, and the Reverend Zesta Lila Yapas will be joining us very shortly. But today we have with us our brother, Mr. Joseph Roberts. He is a financial expert, but first and foremost, he is a Lutheran, a born Lutheran. So we want to welcome our brother Joseph Roberts and the counselor Jerome Kolleh will be joining us also very shortly. He's having a little technical issue from Liberia. He will be joining us very shortly. But looking at the time now, we have time that is 5 spent. It's not in our favor. So we're going to go over to Dansbury, Connecticut to be joining our co-host there, Brother Josiah Jokai. He's going to be leading our team today. Brother Jokai, I want to say welcome again. And I understand you guys are still in summer in Dansbury.
I like your joke, Willie. I like your joke. I know you're still having a good amount of sunshine. You're enjoying everything. I can see you wearing your short sleeve. This is intended to rather ridicule me and Joe. Because Joe is in the Midwest and I'm here in Connecticut, Western Connecticut. We share almost the same kind of weather situation.
Right.
You enjoying the hot weather. Right now we are
Hot weather.
indoors. We're cold.
All right.
We
I
are cold
mean,
right
Hot weather.
you can see in a slingshot. You can see me in some kind of
Yes.
sweater right
now. Right. I'm choked. I'm choked.
Okay, and you got his sleeves all open. You're enjoying.
So listen, I mean, I got accommodation for everyone. Make sure during the winter and fall, come down to Georgia, the ATL. This is the Black Hollywood. But today, we're discussing all things Lutheran.
Yeah, Willie, thank you. Thanks for chipping in that weather aspect so people can know what we're feeling right now. Anyway, folks, Lutherans there in Liberia, in Australia, in Central America, Southern America, in Northern America, there in Cote d'Ivoire, in Nigeria, hey, in Lusaka, Zambia, Willie, our friend, is there doing extremely well, relaying the program there.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yeah.
In Zambia, the folks in Australia, in Canada, we want to say thanks to all of you. Our friend Jackson Akawaya in Nigeria, who is also relaying this program. The program is fast becoming a household discussion within the Lutheran community globally. So we want to thank everyone who's contributing to that. Willie, we also want to thank you for the technology. You're always making us look good, even though I say it, behind the scenes, but I always like to acknowledge that. Folks, today we're having an interesting conversation today on the verification exercise that's been undertaken by the new leadership of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, on the watch of the Right Reverend Dr. Victor G. Patmo, the Lord Bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. For our discussion today, we are having a professional, Joe Roberts. He is the treasurer of the Association of Liberian Lutherans in the Americas. He will be speaking to us from a professional standpoint. He is a Lutheran. He has a stake in this, and it's something that he is also interested. He looks forward to a successful verification process. So he wants to tell us what his thoughts are. What are some of the things he thinks the committee should consider going into the verification exercise. Councillor Jerome Kolleh, you all know him, a Lutheran who is committed to working for the church. He has worked in the different sectors in the church. He's providing legal support in different areas. He is also providing support to the school system. Councillor Kolleh is one of those who's going to be on tonight. to talk to us about the legal and economic benefits of the verification exercise will be. Joe will be doing something similar as well. So we want to welcome you to this evening's discussion. Willie and I will be here for now. And during the course of the discussion, we'll be joined by our colleagues, Abel, Reverend Yapazwa, or the ambassador there in Freetown. So we want to say welcome to the discussion. We're talking about verification. And verification is simply the authentication, of information of what is or what is not, and this is very crucial for the church. I think it's on the basis of that the leadership thought that they should know where they are right now in terms of what they have. Some people may choose to do a particular kind of verification, and verification is simply an audit. I think it's just a matter of the choice of word. So some people may choose to do financial audit, which is a form of verification. The professional will tell us more about that, Robert. Some people will choose, to do asset verification, which is asset audit. But I think the fact that it's just verification, the church is going to be doing a comprehensive verification exercise. So I want to welcome Councillor Kolleh. I'm told he's on the phone, and I also want to welcome Joe. So I just wanted both of you to give me your opening comments. We've given you the background of our conversation. You will be talking to us about the legal and the economic benefits of the ensuing verification exercise. Tell us exactly about that. We will come to you with our questions. And questions from our audience. They would be posting their questions as well as the program goes on. You also have access to those. So, Joe, welcome to the show. You're not strange. You've been here before, but in a different capacity.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. And when I heard about this verification committee that was set up, I put thumb up right away. Good. That's the first step that the administration is taking, because if you put it into home, if I hire you or give you a business to run, the first thing you want to know is, what am I giving to you? You want to know, what am I giving to you? Because at the end of the day, you have to make a report when your turn is over. So during that time, from what I giving to you, and when you end the process, in between there is where you have to give me your report, and we'll have an internal auditor to tell you from the day you started to the day you ended. You can't take something without first just jumping into something to run it without even knowing what it is. So, I put Tom already what the administration is very serious. That's the first thing when they set up the verification committee. Just what you said, verification is all about audit. It's not a bad thing. Let us make it clear. You show the people take audit when you say somebody coming to audit you is like the worst thing that's coming to you. No, audit is not a bad thing. Audit helps you to prepare for the future, to correct the mistakes, and have better productivity with your business or whatever it is, in your own life. To have something that tomorrow you'll be proud of. So when the auditor comes in, the auditor is just coming in to check and make sure, this is what you're supposed to do. You didn't do this. And there's a reason why you didn't do this. Maybe you are overloaded, or maybe you changed the direction because there was something major that came in. But what's the impact of that that you left out? These are all the things the auditors come in to bring out to you, and then you sit and sift through and say, okay, this is what happened, this is what I did, this is what I didn't do, this is the reason why we fall short of this project, we did not achieve it, and all of those things. It's never a negative thing. I would make a story like, you're cutting your grass in your yard, and you think, you're having a party, you cut your grass, and you think the grass is so beautiful. Because that's your eyesight. That's you right there. You think it's beautiful until somebody passes around and say, "Hey, Joe, man, the other corner there is not cut. This other one is not cut. But you didn't see it." So it's like an auditor. It's like verification. Someone came and verified my yard and saw these angles not cut, and then called me and say, "Hey, Joe, you got it." And then I think go right back there, fix it. Or the next thing I look at it from a very different perspective at that moment. As soon as the verification audit was done in my yard and I worked on it, It looks totally different than what it was before. So so I put a thumb up there. And so in speaking to that perspective, we have two kind of assets. We have our physical assets and we have our human assets. Those are the two kind of assets we have. And we talk mostly about, because we're dealing with our church right now, so we'll narrow it to that point. So, for our physical assets, we talk about our property, buildings, and all of those things that we have. And when we talk about the human aspect, we have two kind of human aspects. We have the tangible and intangible. And this is one thing that the verification committee has to look at. Not just focus on the financial assets that we have, on the property assets that we have. You have to look at the human assets that the church has. And in the human assets, we have the tangible, the intangible. You have people in the church who are lawyers, who have CPA firm, who are politicians in the government that have connections. And that's a whole different kind of assets that we should have a list. If something happens, we can say, look, we have this human intangible assets that we can just tap into because we have this crisis right now. So the verification committee should also look at the human intangible assets as they verify, because those are people, those are tangible assets in the church, but they are intangible because we are not tapping into their gift that they have. And these people are very, 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 very important to the development of the church. So we have to look
when you say intangible there, you're talking about the human resource capacity of the church?
Absolutely. The human resource capacity of the church. You can't do a verification and leave that and only look at the money aspect and look at only the property aspect and complete the verification. No, you're leaving a whole huge major assets that the church is having. And I just want to bring this out as the verification assets looking to let them make sure to look at the human assets that the church has, and they are intangible because nobody tapping them. They are there. They have resources, gift that the church can use, but because we are not touching them, we are not dealing with them, they become intangible. So we have to look at those perspectives too when verification committee is going into that. So let's go back to.
So before you go further, I know we'll come to some specifics.
Yeah.
But you said when you heard about the verification committee being set up by the leadership, you gave the leadership thumbs up.
Yeah.
But yes, as much as there are many Lutherans like you giving leadership thumbs up, there are others who are also giving thumbs down, and they are asking some different things. But audit has been a traditional thing going on, and it goes on, silently, and it goes on. And why now we are having a verification process? Why do we want a verification process? So what do you have to say to that? Why are you giving thumbs up now?
Well, first thing is that every new administration has that right, and everyone should support the right of that administration. How they want to run the organization, how they want to run the institution. They come up with their planning. So with the institution coming and say, the first thing before we want to do, we want to verify what in fact we're taking over with. You can do your internal auditing and submit your internal auditing. Let us say your internal auditing is correct. And you have to also bring an external auditor to audit the internal auditing before any audit is completed. And the internal auditing is not a completion at all. I'll be very factual here. We have seen internal auditing that has been done that is totally wrong. That is undercover. They cover a lot of things. And so if you take a report and believe in it, and you do not know what has happened with that internal auditors connection with their past government or agency or institution that narrow to the church, and then you take it, you don't even know what it is. It is totally wrong. You put yourself in a situation because tomorrow when your turn is over, you have to report. And at that time, we will hold you accountable for what you took because you accepted it. So it just makes sense that this administration first do a verification of what they're giving them. Tomorrow, when they're about to report to us before leaving, we will then hold them accountable for everything that they talk. And so he's right. Right now, I mean, how many people already know all of the assets that we have? You know, you can have an access. It's an access that we need to. You know, assets. You can have some assets, but then you can also, because those assets can also become liability assets. Do we have liability assets? Assets that we're spending money on and no return, and we're really not getting anything on. All of those things. Are you going to give me an access like that and I hold it, or are you going to tell me that, hey, Joe, you know, this part of the assets we have, this is the problem we've been having. At least I know that. Should I spend my money there? Do I know about these things? So how can these things be known to the new administration without verifying that, doing an auditor and bringing an internal and external auditor to make sure that they know exactly what they're taking? This is just common business sense 101. Common sense. And I'm taking over any administrative position. That is just 101. You should know what you're taking over. This has nothing to do with what you're doing.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like that. I like that. You should know what you're taking over. Yes. And so it is important to verify what has been entrusted to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the rationale. And the leadership that you are supposed to provide depends on what you are assuming responsibility of, so that you are able to plan for how you will proceed with your leadership. So I think it is in the spirit of that we're going to have this comprehensive asset verification exercise. But one thing I copied from you is the assets that are to be verified. We have the physical, we have the financial, and we have the human. The human has to do with the tangible and the intangible. Are those correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We're coming back to you. Willie, we'll come back to you with some questions. But folks, we have Councillor Jerome Kolleh on the phone. And Councillor Kolleh happens to be a legal luminary, who works assiduously to contribute to the growth and development of the church, providing legal support, also providing support to the school system. Councillor Kolleh, we are pleased to have you here today for this conversation, and I'm sure it's your first time in my Lutheran Connection discussion. So we want to welcome you, Councillor.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the invite. It's good to be on your program. It's interesting how we facing challenges. My first invitation couldn't get on because of some technical problems. This time again, we have other technical problems. At least I'm on to another means. So maybe the next time I will be visible. So these are challenges, but we thank God for the opportunity to appear in your program, and we are delighted to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for those kind words. And we actually regret the first time, we tried to get you on, because we need resource for people like you to always come here to provide the kind of information our audience need. Because if we believe, this enterprise, my Lutheran Connection discussion believes that if we should succeed, collectively with the growth and development, spiritual growth and development of our church, everyone should actually have a role to play. So everyone's opinion matters a whole lot. So, but having said that, we are so glad to have you today to talk about this important subject, the legal and economic benefits of the ensuing verification exercise. As you've already heard, we were in conversation with Joe Roberts. Joe Roberts is the treasurer of the Association of Liberian Lutherans in the Americas. He's here today to also join you, for the both of you, to opine on this important issue. So, Councillor, what would be your first statement regarding this discussion?
My first statement would be, it's a good thought to want to verify assets. And I want to generally agree with most of the assertions made by Joe with respect and its value and importance. Assets based by so as to see what is available and how to access them. Be as it may, like I said to Willie when contacted, and I want to set that caveat, that I would rather discuss the general concept or thought of access verification, and that was specific to the Lutheran churches access verification process, because not much has been said about it. It's just this weekend that it was released. So what they hope to achieve, how they wish to go about it, is something we don't know. So as to speak to the goodness or wrongness of it will be a little difficult. But we look at the general concept of access verification and what it brings to the institution that wants to do it, then we can see and then take it from there. So that was my aspect, so that we don't speak to, because again, as good as access verification is, the way about it could also be a problem that will not get the desired results. Sometimes we want to be sure that you get the desired results. But like Joe said, it's good to always verify your assets and see what you have on it, because assets, like he said, are items that is owned by an institution or a person that has value, and those assets could be emo assets, and those assets could be material assets like cash, like something you write out, show up on your spreadsheet that talks about cash, inventory, equipment, and the likes that you have in real estate. So you want to access those. And when you're talking about verification is basically confirming. So there must have been something said to have exist. And that thing which is said to exist, and you want to confirm whether or not it exists, if it exists, what is its and how useful it would be to you. So a desire to do an access verification, yes, legally you got to ensure that you are going about it the right way. You got to ensure that you have the right way to do it, and so that's why you are doing it. So yes, like in the case of the church, yes, once you have the authority to want to verify your access and see you have that right, then it's something that you can do, and then go about it, getting it. And so, but as you go about it, you want to be sure what it is that you want to achieve. Mm-hmm. In law school, my prof told me once that if you have a case coming to you, you always have to ask yourself 3 questions. And the first one is this a winnable case? Is this a case that I can win? If your answer is yes, the second thing is, do I have what it takes to win in terms of resources, in terms of pieces of evidence, in terms of people to give testimony, in terms of finances? Do I have what it takes? And if your answer is yes, then the third thing is it worth it? After all I'm going to do to go through this process, and if I should even win, is it worth the exercise? Okay, so if someone just insulted you and give you slap you, and you think that's something you can raise with 1 or 2 persons, and the person can come and tell you sorry, and you're going to say you're going to accept the apology. You don't want to go to court for all those things, but you spend all the money, and in the end the person will come tell you sorry, you agree. So then why did you go to court and spend all the money? Or you want to go with damages and put this huge price on the person that you know they can't afford, spend all the money, to get it, the person can't afford to pay the money, people come beg you and let go. So if you know that in the end you're going to let go, then you want to go to it. But if your essence for going to this thing is because you just want to prove a point, then we're going to it. So if one decides to do an access verification, you want to see what do I hope to achieve out of this access verification. And if you know what you want to achieve to it, then you want to make sure you have the resources to do it. Okay, I heard Joe talking about audit being done, or some internal audit or something done. So it means that there was some audits done or some investigation done, and investigation report is there, and you want to verify this investigation report to either confirm or deny it. Now, if that report that was done were done by people with expertise who had the time, you want to make sure that someone who comes to verify them should have equal expertise or more than that. So you wouldn't go to take people who don't have the expertise. I'm a lawyer. I wouldn't be involved in audits. So if you want to verify an audit that was conducted, you want to ensure that those who come to do it are equally qualified auditors who come to do this thing and know what they're doing. So that tends to it. And if in a case where you have to hire a firm to do that auditing for your whatever information you got, if you want to verify that information, then you got to ensure that you have to hire an equally qualified firm. You're not going to get a group of volunteers who will come to do that work for you because they don't have the time or resources. They will be doing it at their leisure. And if their time can permit them, it will be a difficult thing to do. Like in terms of verifying your assets, it will require funding. It will require traveling around places, going to places to verify these assets are there, whether what they said to be there actually there and exists, and what is the dividend we can get out of this asset. Is it a asset that is there? Is it an asset that is usable, that is tangible, that we can cash in on? You want to do this thing, and you want to do that, you must go there. So if you have a group of volunteers who are doing it, would they have the time to do these visitations around the country to go and assess this thing? These are questions you want to ask yourself before you go to verify. So as good as the thought will be, if your mechanism and way to go about it is not carefully thought through and implemented, it will become a foolhardy exercise. So yes, that's verification good. And then in the end, if you do the verification, the economic dividend you get to know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. What do you have that you can cash in on? What do you have that you can part with and be able to generate additional income to do other things? In terms you were talking about human resources. You want to know what are the human resources you got. Can you tap into bringing them into employment, or are you going to be tapping into them at a rate of volunteerism? And if they are volunteerism, how committed will they be to volunteer their time and expertise to the church that have brought it up? So all of those things come into your question. So to determine the economic benefits of it would depend on what you put into it and how you go about doing it. So in and of itself, it's a good thing, but it wouldn't yield the desired result except the appropriate approaches and necessary approaches are taken. If the wrong approaches are taken, as good as the talk is, it wouldn't get the desired result. You wouldn't get those economic benefits. But yes, it has economic benefits because you get to know the values you got out there, the assets you got out there that have value that could be used and could be converted into other, could be check and cash or other things that you can use and do better and improve your institution or your church or whatever your reason is for doing the verification. You will be able to use the information to economically benefit yourself because you know what you have at hand and where they are and how they can be accessed. So yeah, it's good, but the way about it will determine its desired result and benefit economically to the institution that goes about it. Thank you for now.
Wow. Counselor, your opening statement just paraphrases the purpose of our discussion today. You've actually spoke about the significance of the leadership considering the relevance of the verification process, whether or not they have the support, which is crucial, and what is the end game. I think those are the fundamental questions you raised that the leadership must have considered before undertaking this enterprise. And I know this is huge because the LCL is not in Monrovia alone. The LCL is in the entire country. We have assets, physical assets across the country. And those assets are being managed. The human resource aspect is very crucial, as emphasized by Joe in his opening statement, because I think that has been one of the weaknesses of the LCL. Many people have opined on that, and I don't know what your view is, Counselor, that we have resource for people in the church, expertise, people with different expertise in the church, but are not being effectively tapped into. That's one aspect of it. And I'm sure an effective verification exercise will also be able to help in identifying the different categories of expertise that we have in the church and how the leadership can be able to tap into them. But here is the thing, Counselor, the legal aspect is critical. And I know that you are not going into specificity, which is understandable. None of us here have any information in terms of how the committee will go about it. So we'll not be specific into the ABCs of the committee's work. But what remains clear is that giving general principles, general understanding about audits or verification exercises, the legal aspect matters a whole lot. So if the church was supposed to do a checklist regarding the legal, the authority that it has to do the verification, what would be the A and B on that list legally?
Well, legally, you will want to actually hire an expertise institution that you can pay
Okay.
So that way you are able to take them to question if their deliverables are not meeting your thought or aspirations. It can be, you just spoke to the fact that you got access spread across the country. So if you have a bunch of volunteers who have their personal work to do that create income for them and give them living, do they have the time and resources to go to Lofa or to Saudi to go and everybody access and talk about it? Do they have it? Do they have that time to do it when they are volunteering? So you want to ensure that maybe you hire a firm that those who are going to do it will be going to do their work. It will be part of their workload, part of their income for survival. So when they go there, they're not worried about their work back home because they are assigned by their institution that should pay them at the end of the month. But if I went as a Jerome Kolleh who's voluntary and I'm going there in some other places and don't have funding to do what I'm doing, then it means that I will have to have my family suffer as a result. So what I put in the because at the end of the day, the core of volunteerism is commitment. Your volunteerism is of no use to whoever you volunteer to if you're not being committed to what you volunteer yourself to do. So there must be commitment. And do we have that commitment? But you just spoke about the fact that the church have human resources. Yes, the church have a lot of human resources. Do they have the time? Do they have the commitment to the church? It's one thing to go to church, pay your time, do everything, but sometimes when you are called to come, you've been around the church leadership at some point in time, you've been involved in some of the work, you know what it takes to volunteer your time to do it. You were on the, you guys talk so much about the FM thing. You were on it. So you know what time before you do it and why you took out of your personal work to get within that time. So in absence of commitment, few persons will do it. So legally, you want to ensure that you hire a firm that you can pay for work, pay for work, and you can demand out of them that work because you pay. Now, if you don't have the resources and then you improvising, then you want to make sure that even those who are volunteering have got the expertise to do the work. I mean, it's one thing to take volunteers that are committed and available. It's another thing that these volunteers have the expertise to do the work they are asked to do. Else than that, they will begin another exercise in brutality because they don't know what they're going to look for. But again, they are always available. They can't say no to their church. They can't say no to their bishop. So they agree on the time, but they don't have the resource they were with us to do it. So it becomes another thing. And sometimes the average Liberian don't like to make others feel bad. So you go in with that, you will try to say, I will sit in and see how I can do it. Well, it's also possible. And we can say, yes, we can put in there, we can provide the expertise, bring supervision, but we still need money to send people out there to go and verify people who know how to get data and how to source this data. We must send them out and we will pay them. We can't go ourselves, but we got to pay these people to go. So money is needed, whichever way you put it. You will need money so that if those who are there can go.
Wow, that is critical, that the church should consider outsourcing the verification exercise to a professional institution, even though it's going to be managed by the committee. That's the effect.
Whatever work, you're going to be questioning whatever work has been done before. So if it is going to be questioning a work that has been done before, you want to make sure that the one who is questioning the work of those who did it, because my information that we talk about church, they will not be specific with them, but the church, those who did it were certified public accountants that were hired outside that came to do it. Not internal people that did internal auditing like Joe was trying to surmise. No, they were external auditors that were asked to come in to do it. So if their work is going to be verified, it must be verified by a group of people who are legally situated to do that work. Because else than that, whatever you find from there, they could challenge it. Because these people are not, they don't know what they were doing. So you got to make sure that you got an equally competent group of people with the expertise who have lessons to do this work. So that whatever they bring out, if for any reason is going to question what exists, they must have the lessons to question those who did what they did earlier. In the absence of the lessons to question those people, your questioning them will be foolhardy. Okay, like, but where you're standing, we're saying, Lord, where you're standing, where you come from to question us. You are in this era. You are not a certified public accountant. You are not a CPA. So how do you come to question the work of a CPA? Where's your standing? Where's your lessons to do this work? To question me and bring me to a book. So all of those things are the legal implications that come in when you bring in volunteers to do this work, especially if the church intends to get some dividend out of it, to get some economic benefit from it. If for any reason a wrong would be determined or detected, how do you bring this wrong up to face when those who do it may not necessarily have the lessons to do what they're doing because they are a group of volunteers? So you want to look into that. Again, if it is just for your information, to help you with information to what you're going to do good fine, then try the volunteers you want to go. But if you intend that, if you see any wrong, you intend to follow up that wrong, and if possible, prosecute that wrong other thing, then those who do it to bring that wrong out must have the lessons to do that and question that authority. In the absence of that lesson to do it, yeah, work coming up could be if you had it. I will start the for now.
Folks, there you have it. The voice of Councillor Kolleh talking about the verification exercise, the legal implication, and one issue that stands out in his presentation has to do with the need to hire a firm to conduct the audit, because the results of the audit might just have legal implication depending on the validity or the accuracy of the audit. This is very crucial. And if you want to have a dividend, you want to have economic benefit, because the difference in the audit in terms of what people have done differently, wrongly, and rightly will determine the extent of the benefit that we get from the audit. Thank you, Councillor Kolleh. We'll come back to you. We will go to our colleague right now, Willie, who is preceded and has a question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Councillor Kolleh. Through all of the technical issues, you managed to be with us via phone. I have a question, and my question is this. I'm going to, lay a little premise first before getting to the question. From your explanation so far, you are recommending that have a qualified institution to do the job, which is very much important. Don't use volunteers. So if you look in some part of the country, like in the lower part of the country, there some of the property, like physical land property that the church owns, people are encroaching on those properties. So are you saying that if the church doesn't have like the money to hire, professional people, they should just ignore some of these risks or some of the threats that people are encroaching on the land, and just leave it, because we shouldn't use volunteer to go about taking stock of all of the church properties. And I will end on this quickly. The congregation that I'm part of, the People's Community Lutheran Church, we are in a legal issue right now with our neighboring church. Okay, so this is church to church now. So what happened is that the church has a parking lot on an entire block, and according to our neighbor church, the church that occupied the building that we are in right now said that they pay $1 for 15 spots for 30 years, but they cannot show any legal document. So when we redid the parking lot, they came to us requesting for the 15 spots, and we said there's no legal document to show that you have 15 spots. So now we are in court on that. So my question, like I said, that should the church just ignore and saying that, okay, we cannot use volunteers, we should just allow people to encroach on the properties, like in the Zozo area or in the Kakata area or in other parts of the country, where the church has so many properties?
No, Willie, that's not my say into it, right? You can use volunteers. I'm saying to you that these volunteers must be people who have got the commitment and the dedication to volunteer that time faithfully, in spite of the fact that they're not going to be getting financial gain from it, and they got to leave their work that give them income for survival to go there. You must be sure that these are committed people. That's one thing. Another thing is that there must be, you're talking about land use laws. Say for example, the land use laws. To want to determine that somebody encroached on your land, it can't be by the physical argument on the land, see 1 or 2 corners to somewhere, is it going to our land? No. It requires that you must do a resolving. Resolving requires funding. So you must get expertise. Yeah, you may have people in the church that are surveyors. that got a time to get you. But they must pay for that exercise because they're going to be using lenses and other good. I'm sure they want to get to volunteer that time and do an entire survey or 2, 3, 4 acres of land for a little or nothing. I don't know. Some of us can, some don't know. So, but you want to make sure that a survey is carried out by a licensed surveyor that determines that your land is 10 acres and indeed it is 10 acres and your 10 acres starts here. These cornerstones you see here are not in your 10 acres, so don't bother them. Or these cornerstones you see around here are in your 10 acres, so people must leave so you can pursue them. This is the result of the survey. You will leave for them to do that. And people will go there with that investigation and come back to you with the report as to what they gather for what they did. Okay, when you get the survey result and you decide that people are on your land and you need to go after them, then you will need to sue them. You must get a lawyer and you must get a competent lawyer. You're not going to get a magistrate who comes from the JR. You want to get a competent lawyer that have the time to pursue your case and go about it. So that's what we're talking about. In any way you do it, it got some cause implication. Absolutely. And so I want to just if again you come back to what do you wish to get out of this process? What do you wish to get? How authentic you want that result to be? So if what you want to get there is something authentic to justify with, then you must get people with the expertise to do it. I have not seen the list. I don't know who are the members of the committee. I don't know if you have seen it. Let's look at the committee. Who are the members of this committee? What are their expertise? Are they into this area? Are these things they can do? If they understand what it means, a dead asset, a commercial asset, a asset of descent, do they know what all the different assets, what they stand for and what they mean? Can they determine what type of asset the LCR has? Whether they are current assets, whether they are commercial assets, or they just laying on it. We must determine. So you must know the jargons to do this work. Like I always say to people, the normal thing of continuing, when someone say continue something, means to what you're doing continually at a point in time. When a lawyer say continue, it means let's start today and do it later. A lawyer thinking about continuing means start now and continue this thing later. But the average meaning of continuing is to continue as you are doing. So there will be some jargon, jargon of a accountant or a auditor that we will not know. So those people when there must know it. So you go read an audit report that has those jargons there. If you aren't an auditor, you cannot question that audit because you don't understand what is there. So that's what I'm talking about. Yes, they use volunteers, but the core of using a volunteer is, are they as committed and dedicated as we want them to be? If they are, do they have the expertise to do this work? Are they equally qualified like those who did this work, whose work they can evaluate? Do you intend to use the information from here to go after people or to go after these things you got? If you intend to use it, then the one who gave you that result must be a certified person to bring that result out that you can take outside to anywhere to go and use it, Kolleh, whatever. That result must be certified. It will be done by a certified institution, not by a group of volunteers. That's what I'm trying to say. So it depends on what your objective is and how you intend to harness what you get out of the process. So it is that which will drive how you do it, whether volunteers or whether expertise or however you use it. Your objective, when you want to get out of this process, will be what will drive you into how extensive you want to go financially or otherwise to get people that are committed. It's not just people who are volunteers, but who have the expertise and do have the time and resources to put into it. That would be my take on that.
Yeah, and absolutely, if I can just add to what the councilor said, we're talking about credibility. Any report that comes out has to be credible. So to have a report credible that people will believe in it, and then you can also use that. The whole process is not just for this administration; it's also for the future of the church. To know that what all they have, and just as the councilor was saying, all of those property that we have, whether in fact the situation in Liberia, the Liberia has been going through so many things, war, we're talking about, disease and illness and sickness, all of those things, our people have been migrating from one point to one point. We have access in all over the country and all of those things, so it's very good to do it. But one thing the councilor said, I would like to talk on, he said, if you're doing this job just to prove point, then it is wrong. Then we are definitely not going to get the dividend or economic benefit of what we want to get. It's not a point of trying to pinpoint bring a point out. That's not what the whole verification should be about. It's all about bringing something that the church will use, the administrations and coming administration will use in the future, as they say, they plan the future of the church. That is the point. The point is not to go and try to prove something against an administration. As I say again, cutting the grass and someone looking at it and tell you, say you made the mistake is not a bad thing to do. So, but then at the same time, to conflict interest, as the council was saying, that's why I was talking about the intangible assets we have, and they have to be qualified. There could be some CPA, in our church here. There could be people working in the auditing department in the government who are satisfied, part of our church. They are certified, they have certification. And those kind of people you sending out to do those kind of work, the work become a genuine, it become accredited, the accreditation is much better. And the conflict interest also is that the committee should also look at, if Joe Rabo is member of the Barnaville Parish, and we're doing access management to Barnaville Parish, you are send Joe Rabo to Barnaville. That is his parish. How close connection is he with the pastor? So those are things that conflict interest. The committee has to look at who they sending to places, what are their connection they have to those places, what impact will it, what their judgment impact in the result of the assessment would be. Those are things that the committee can be looking at. And as you send people, or just as the councilor is saying, volunteering is good, but you got to be very careful the volunteer you send up, because you want the result to be accredited.
Right, and I'm not sure anyone will expect the current leadership to make publicity about such verification process in the way that they are doing it, just for the sake of doing it or to prove a point. I think they want real legal and economic implications here. They want to ensure that things are done rightly going forward. Once they can have the ability to identify some of the things that did not go right in the past, and not just with the immediate past administration, because audits will definitely point to trails, about things that have happened over the years, probably depending on the definition of the time frame and the scope of the audit, and also to identify what are those positive things that happen that they can build on. So I think this verification exercise, as we all suspect, that is intended for the growth of the church, and it's not just for doing it because of doing sake. I think it's being done on purpose with an objective, but it is that objective that we don't know, and none of us can speak to right now until the information comes out clearly in terms of the entire concept, because it has to have objective, and we need to understand the implications. Like you rightfully said, Joe, they need to be mindful of conflict of interest and undue influence. You don't want that to happen, as the legal luminary talk about, Councillor Kolleh, because you don't want to go and verify what has already been done by other professionals in a subtle way. You want to do it in a professional way, so that the result that you get is authentic, is genuine, and is reflective of something professional, something to confirm what has been done before, to actually dispute what was done before, and to represent something authentic, to justify the dispute in your report, in your audit report. So basically, this is crucial, and I'm sure the leadership is taking note. These are key points that are being raised by the both of you. But Joe, let me come back to you. The healthcare has properties across the country. We really have assets that we can post up across. Some are lying in ruins, and some are being encroached upon. Some are liability assets, as the professionals will refer to them. This is huge for the committee, and the church wants to know the status of all of these physical assets. so that, for example, that's just one aspect of the verification, so that they can begin to take actions to use those assets to generate income, to mobilize resources, to use them for development of people, for social services. What is it going to take to go into that verification process just for that physical asset aspect? And what does the church stand to benefit from such result?
I mean, what it's going to take to go into that, just as the councilor was saying, you have to have a team that you're sending off that is qualified to get a result, because we definitely want a dividend with a good economic result of it. And so you have to make sure you got to look at as we're all saying, the end result. The end result is to have this report that feature administration will be able to use them to set up their administrative policies, administrative goal, objective, their forecasting or whatever they have for the future of the church. So you have to make sure that you're not just it's not just something that you want to do. I would say again to prove point, no. And we all agree that the administration is not looking at it from that perspective. Their perspective is to actually get a result that their administration will be able to use to be able to change the economic scope of the country of LC at this point. But also let's look at the positive side of it. And I want people who might say, "Oh, there's no reason why we should do this thing."
That's exactly my point. Yes, that's
so. Let's look at the positive side of some of these things. Let's look at the economic opportunity you will get from it. One of the economic opportunity would be that, okay, let's say we verify the church in Monrovia there. We have what are the economic opportunity from the verification that the assets we have in Monrovia we get. One could be what we could have partnership. We have business partnership that we can connect with to do some maybe events, parking space to rent, those places that we have not been utilizing. We have offices. Can we get NGOs to come and run these offices to us so that we can generate income from it? We have our guest house. Now let's remember that where we are located on 16th Street, look at the business, economic business within that area where we are right now. Can we become competitive to the business aspect and the economic result from that place? Can we improve on our guest house so that we can be competitive to the very expensive hotel over there that people who cannot afford it can come to our guest house and get almost the same thing as over there? Can we be a competitor to them? How do we navigate with the community? Do we have things that the community do not know that we have that it can benefit from? Is that something that we can utilize from our assets that we have verified that can be beneficial to the community that we live in? Should we build a hall and a rental hall, a party hall, or people use for wedding, or something that will generate income that we have? All of these things is where verification comes from. So verification has a huge positive aspect of it. Do we have assets that we are actually spending money on? That should we sell this area? I can get just one example. I was doing research on there. It's a church that sold. The church was about to close, and they had a land. This is where they say a church is poor, but the church is rich with assets. And they decided to sell the land. They were located in the central part, somewhere in the United States here, and they sold just the 2 lot for $5.3 million because of where their church was located. And the church was about to close. But when they did an assets verification and found out that, look, this assets we get here that we are not utilizing, if we set it up to a business developer, this is what we will get from it. And they were able to get $5.3 million and were able to go back and run the mission of the church and did not close. But they won't have gotten that opportunity to do that if they didn't do the assets verification. For someone to tell them, look, you have the huge parking space here, and right now you are downtown here. If you have a developer to come and put something here, he will want to buy this place from you And this is what you're going to get from it, just having an empty parking lot and close the whole church and go, whereby you had the access that we are safe. So these are the things that I want people to understand, the positive aspect of the verification. It's not, again, it's not a negative. Auditing is never negative. It always comes up with a good result. So let us look, there are a lot of opportunities that when the verification is done the right way, that LCA will benefit from it a lot.
Right, Joe. And thank you for going into some of the specifics of the benefits that the church stands to gain. And let me say here, folks, you are tuned into my Lutheran Connections discussion. We are having Councillor Jerome Kolleh. He's on the phone. You cannot see him right now because his video is not working. But the next time Councillor Kolleh appears here, you will see him just as you see us today. We also have Joe Ramos, the secretary of the Association of Liberian Lutherans in the Americas. We are so glad to have them, a very resourceful, providing great insights here into the discussion. And I'm sure you viewers, you are really enjoying this because you are having expertise presentation here on the show tonight. As both of them have said, verification has huge benefits. Councillor Kolleh mentioned that. He talked about the legal implication, but he also talked about the benefits. Joe Ramos talked about it, the costs, and he talked about benefit. Yes, it has huge benefits, but the process is costly. We wouldn't have that from this. Joe, I'm going to come back to you on this. Aliyah is beginning to become a strategic partner to the new leadership, because my understanding is that the new leadership has opened up her arms to Aliyah wholeheartedly, and you guys are developing a powerful relationship. And this verification exercise, I'm sure Aliyah is going to have serious interest in it as well, because Aliyah is going to be working with the church on the educational front. Talking about tertiary education, we want to establish a first Lutheran university. Aliyah is a strategic partner in that direction. But here's the thing. What happens if the leadership contacts Aliyah regarding funding, providing funding support for the verification exercise? Not that Aliyah should undertake the cost of the exercise, but to contribute some financial resources. What would be your expectation of the leadership? What will you want to see? Because you are now the finance minister of Aliyah sitting here. What will you want to see from the church that will convince you, that will motivate you, that will inspire you to say, hey, to the leadership of Aliyah, we need to put some money into this verification exercise? What do you want to see from the church to motivate you to do that, to support it financially?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question, because from the time we start talking about this verification and all of the one thing that we all know, budgeting and funding has been a bigger issue, and it's still a serious issue for LCS. We are fully aware of that. We know these things, and just as the counselor said, why undertake a project that you will not end it? And what's the end game? Why do you want to do all the verification that you're not going to end it? It's not going to give accreditation credence to your end results. So these are costs that I've been thinking about. Fortunately for me, I have been with the Minneapolis area Senate. Things like this have come out together, and then we brainstorm and say, what is the result, the economic, the benefit of the church? Why are they doing this? What can we do for them to achieve that goal and that they are trying to honor right? Definitely with our partners here. I'm speaking right now, not in the official capacity as a treasurer, because right now we talk as a Lutheran, but even though I'm Aliyah, Aliyah has a policy. We go to level to all Aliyah member. I'm just talking as we all Lutherans. I'm going to talk about.
We get it. Disclaimer. We get it.
Right. So I would suggest to Aliyah that we all know the importance of the verification access, and we all know the dividend economic tomorrow that the access will give to us, to LCR. And LCR is our golden heart to all of us. This is a very good initiative undertaken by the new leadership. We know financially right now the leadership is there are a lot of deficit operations going on with leadership when it comes to the financial aspect. That is something that we all are aware of. We all believe that this initiative is very important, so we all need to be part of the part of financing it, so that we can have the end result as we all want it. We have partners here, and I do believe our partners, the church partners that they have in the United States, they are aware of the crisis LCA is facing over there. They will be very happy if we put together a very comprehensive report. Why you want to do this thing? What would be the benefit to LCS? And you sell that to our partners here. I strongly believe, I'm very optimistic that the partner will understand that, because the partner want to see progress with LCS. And if this is something that will bring progress to here, our partner here will be waiting to honor right that cost.
Absolutely, Joe. Let me just come in right there before I lose my thought. I agree, and I'm not sure anyone has a doubt that once you present a well-crafted proposal to the partners, they will support it. No one doubts that. But before you do that, the LCL leadership has to convince you to do that on her behalf. Yeah. What do you want to see from the LCL leadership that will reflect a degree of seriousness for you to make such intervention on their behalf? What specifically will you want to see from them, convincingly, for you to be able to do that on their behalf?
What I want to see first is that the committee that have been set up, I want to see the technocrats they're using.
Right.
To get the end result. That is very important. The technocrats that they are using tells me how the end result would be. And I also want to see the metrics they're going to be using to get the results out. Metrics is in business, metrics is what we use to measure anything. We use metric to measure anything. So I want to know the kind of metric they're going to be using to do this assessment. And also I want to see the seriousness from from LCA as to whether this is something that they really want to do, and that would be based on how the committee is working, how the committee is structured, how the committee who are on the committee. That also tell us how credible the committee is. You look at membership of the committee, you can give accreditation to that committee and say, I know the committee is serious to work. And all of those things, and look at the framework of the whole thing, where are their target points, what are they looking at? All of those things tells me that, okay, this is a project to be undertaken. This is something that we should help LCR to finance it, and we should go up, because we will be asked these questions, and we have to answer these questions. And we can only answer if LCR give all these good answers that we can utilize in the US to finance this great initiative.
Right. So you want to know the qualification of the firm, and if as far as the individual.
Agree with you. The committee that is doing on what they want to do. The roadmap that spell out the clearly define what it is that it says what to achieve from this process. How you want to go about it to achieve that outcome. And then what will it cost them to do it? I mean, doing a comprehensive roadmap of the things, having assessed the extent of the work that needs to be done, what it needs to do it, do a well-written proposal that speaks to those facts. I'm sure if you sold it out, it will be able to get some dividends. I agree with you when you say share with the partners. I wouldn't want to take where Joker was talking about Aliyah. I agree that Aliyah is a new kid on the block. We're going to be careful now that we don't drain Aliyah dry, so that Aliyah reaches the point where they go on a spin to be above. There's this cool thing, which is a big venture, and we haven't looking up to Aliyah to do a substantive work in that area. You want to slow down on how you engage them in terms of funding for you, because with that big thing with the university thing, it's a big project, and then you come again with it. So if you overwhelm them, you soon drain them dry. Then you get nothing, and then so nothing is said that will be achieved by the two. So we can do a comprehensive roadmap of what we want to achieve for this verification process. And indicate the benefits, the economic gains that will come from it, will get this result, do a real written program, I will send our cost, and show the partners it will make sense to them to want to help. Because you have said what it is that you want to identify and what you can do. Because like Joe also said, you got these layers. If you identify something there, you enter partnership with other people. We keep saying that the soil is the best thing. So you enter partnership want to get into some agricultural work that you could do. You don't have to visit as a church. You can partnership or provide land. You provide other resources and we can get it going. So those are things you put in your plan. And when people see that these are things that will eventually come out of this, they want to fund it because eventually it helps you to bring you to the point of financial stability so that you are self-sustained instead of them keep sitting there. So if you did a well-written project proposal with a clear-cut defined roadmap as how you want to do it and the mechanisms upon which you want to achieve it and why it will cost you to do it, I'm sure friendly people will look at it and want to reach out to you and see how they can help.
Absolutely, Counselor, you are right, and this does not mean that we want to overburden Aliyah. But here is the thing: we are trying to unravel the synergies, which are very important. The Lutheran University has a connection here, and Aliyah is involved because some of the institutions that are targeted to be used as campuses of the universities, they are involved, they are at stake with respect to the verification exercise. Take LTR, for example. If that should be used as one of the campuses, one of the new campuses, Aliyah would want to know what actually happened to LTR, why LTR is in the current state. I think the verification process is critical here. And Aliyah probably will want to support from the backdrop of understanding what actually went wrong with LTR, where is LTR, what it takes to revamp LTR. The total Tower campus, I'm sure they are also thinking about that. What happened to that campus? What is its current state? So I think the verification exercise also has implications for understanding what happened to some of the institutions that are targeted as to be used as campuses, to house the university. So I agree with you, Councillor. A comprehensive proposal is needed as a roadmap for the verification exercise, and institution would definitely want to support SEAM because accountability matters, and people are interested in ensuring accountability. And here's the thing: this is being done in good faith. That's why, in fact, we are discussing the Lutheran connection. We are here to trigger, all of the necessary undertakings to support the verification exercise. But, Councillor, I will come back to you. You talk about legal implications, and you talk about it from the perspective of making sure that professionals undertake this process. If it is not done, people might question the outcome, and that may have legal implications for the church. I wanted you to wrap on that a little bit, Councillor, because that is crucial. People should not just take this for granted, thinking that work that has been done by other people are going to be critiqued by a new group of people. And the outcome will definitely have some legal implications for the church. Would you wrap on that a little bit? Because that's the point that we need to highlight.
Well, what we're trying to speak to is the fact that, like what you say, once you're going to verify, it means that something is there. Some work has been done before, and that work is there. So you're going to verify, either you confirm that work, you modify it, or you verify it. I mean, always they got to be either three. Either it's confirmed that indeed this work is substantive, it is authentic, so we can go ahead, or yes, it's authentic, but it needs to be modified. Some things were left out, or no, it was not good enough. It's not there. Whatever way you do it, those who did the initial work, their reputation is at stake. Their profession is at stake. Their integrity is at stake. So if you want to bring this integrity, this profession, this personality into question, you want to make sure that those who are going to do it have got the wherewithal, have got the competence, have got the qualification to want to question the authenticity or substantiveness or truthfulness of what was done earlier. The professional nature of it, the ethical nature of it, you want to ensure that was done. And so those who will come to question those things must be equally competent and qualified with the standing to want to do this. Because not to do that, if these people for some reason think that, because for example, our institution was used, and if this institution did a very bad work, it heard that their image out there for others to come to them to want to use it and do other work. So of course, if you're going to question their image and tarnish their reach out there, you got to make sure the one who's doing it has equally got the competence and the skills and the ability to do it. Because now to do that, you could bring other things to bear on you as a church in terms of people coming after you because of what you've done to their image and how you ruin their image. So they'll come after you. So you want to make sure that because these implications are there, those who do this work for you must have the competence, will have the authenticity that what they're doing is genuine, it meets all standard of access verification or auditing, such that if they come to question anything out of the process that was done before, those questions can be stand up and can be defended in any place. And those who did it can have because those are the implications. Because you don't know to what extent others will take it. Because depending on what you do with the report and how you're going to present the report out there to the public, will depend on how others react to it. If it's coming to question my integrity, question my work, everything I did, of course I may want to stand because my institution stand to lose customers out there, stand to lose people out there. So because of that, I want to come to my defense, the defense of my image and my institution. So that's why it is very important that those who do it, the intention, let's be clear here, the intention is not to find fault and to bring those people to disrepute. No, that's the intention. But what if you find fault? What if you find something that brought their entitled to the question? Can you speak it out? If you want to speak it out, then those who fought it out must have the competence to do it. So that you want to take the precaution that though you're not going to look for fault, you're going to look for a way to improve things and make it better. But just in case a fault comes out, you are justified to point out this fault because those who detected this fault have got the competence and qualification to do it. That's what we're speaking to. That's a legal implication because you don't know what that result will bring and how others will interpret it, and what impact it will have on their image, and what will be their reaction to their image if it is growing and is causing them to lose customers out there. So they have to come after you to prove that no, that is wrong. That is not true. That's not what we did. What we did the other thing. And you don't want the church to be seen as bringing us something that they can't prove. No, because as the church should be credible. I mean, should be credible enough that will bring things out. They are able to speak to it with both feet. So that is, again, the essence is not to find fault, but you can't erase the fact that what a fault is fault. Can we speak to this fault? Can we pursue this fault? You can only pursue it if those who found out the fault has got the competence to have done it and they got the expertise to have found out this fault. So that expertise, you can use it to go further with this fault that you found in terms of bringing the repetition of those who did it to question. That's what we say.
Councillor, just before I don't want to lose my thought, but let me say this. There are two dimensions to what you have said, the implications, because there are people who audited before and those reports are still available and the trails are going to be followed in the verification process. That's one aspect. So you could be in legal trouble with people who did that before if it is not done correctly. Also, you have the former leadership. And if you are going to audit the processes and those people, everything that they did, you have to be sure that if you find fault, like we know, the intent is not to find fault to ridicule people or reprimand people. But equally so, there is a high probability that you might also find fault just as you may find a set of positives. So if also the outcome of the verification process is not authentic, is not genuine, does not reflect the reality of what happened, then you will also be in trouble with people from the past leadership. Is that true? Is there any veracity to that?
Of course, it goes without saying. It goes without saying because I mean, the leadership before they instituted whatever audit was done, okay, and whatever result that audit brought, it was shared with them. They have management meeting to to discuss the result. And while our crews were there, we shared with them. They gave their counsel to it, and it will reconcile a few you. Those that could be proven, they took it out. Those that could not be proven, stay there. Or if they fall away to manage this fine. So yes, they had to do it. So if those people are fallen out, it's like, how did we get here? Was there any possibility that these people here in their management engagement meeting or in their management consultation or management reaction to the audit?
Hello, Counselor, are you there? Okay, looks like we just lost Counselor. Yes, Willie?
And then we left with them.
Right.
1 second, we're going to get him back on the phone.
He's on.
They want to react to whatever came out. How they want to react to whatever came out. If it is positive, well, they will be happy to share about it. If it is negative to the image, of course they want to protect the image, so it will come out. It's possible. So you want to make sure that, again, this is not your intention, but it's likely to come out as a result, because you have control of the result of how. It will be positive, anything will come out. And if it comes out, what do you do with it? And because if it comes up, and if it is negative, they affect other people in image and integrity. So you want to make sure that the best minds, the best brains, the competent people are doing it, so that whatever they bring up is not brought to question. That's it. So yeah, they have implication on them, and they are level with choice. Of course, and a few days ago, we had some discussions here, and the way the discussion went, the former GS had to come out with the dossier, and she said she was sorry for being so long-winded, but she thought she had to bring it out because it was necessary to clarify some things that were brought out. Be herself available. I hate their room for further discussion. She went to come up and speak to. Of course, they're there because I she's at stake. So anything of question I repetition, of course, will come up. So at least just from that aspect will let you know that definitely if something negative came up to affect the image of those that were there before, they will not take it lying now. Because she didn't take that conversation you had right now. She spoke out.
Yeah.
And she spoke out her mind because she thought that her image was being ruined. And those that she worked with were also being ruined. So she spoke to it. So obviously, whatever comes out, if it affects the image negatively, they will definitely speak to it. So that's why you want to make sure that whatever comes out, whatever affect them or not, let it be authentic, let it be a result of a competent, qualified personality that did it with the expertise. And so the result there is contented and gets any test of time because it was done by professionals. That's what we are saying.
Great. Thank you, Counselor, for that perspective. And that's why I really wanted you to share more light on the legal implications so that even the leadership and Lutherans get to know the importance of ensuring that you have a set of professionals in the area undertaking this exercise, this critical exercise. And a classic example of why we should have the professional expertise to do this job has to do with what Joe said when I quizzed him about the possibility of Aliyah supporting and what would be his expectations of the leadership, what he expects to see from them. The first thing Joe said, he wants to know who's doing it. That's the first thing anybody would want to know who's going to do the audit. Definitely, they want to know in terms of the person's qualification, their experience, and it has to do with years and all they've done it, the outcome of some of the verification or audit exercises they've undertaken, and the approach to the audit process. He also wants to see that, to know, and then the budgeting in terms of the scope, the required funding, to support the initiative. I think those are all critical, and all of those put together will constitute a proposal or roadmap, and that is what the leadership needs to do to ensure that there is a roadmap that anybody can see clearly and know what the objectives are, what the implications will be, and what the benefits that the church stands to gain will be. So I'm sure they are listening, and viewers, you are in tune to the My Lutheran Connections online TV. Today is me and Willie. Our colleagues have not joined us yet. We are having Joe Roberts from Aliyah and Councillor Jerome Kolleh from the Lutheran Church in Liberia. I know it's late in Liberia, and this is part of what we do to support our church. Councillor Kolleh is on by this time. So, folks, we'll go to Willie. Willie, do we have any comments? You have the phone numbers rolling?
So far we just have quite a few. We actually want to recognize brother Roger Abin Kemo, brother Rishki Kennedy. They have comments in there. We know others are watching and people are
Right.
listening in. But our father Melikpake Sumo.
William, when will you learn how to pronounce this thing? When will you learn how to? I know even Father Mentele is not happy with you. He's following the
No,
religious.
he
William, you have
knows.
never pronounced this name correctly. William. Even the last time,
knows.
Bishop had to help you to pronounce the name.
No, but I've done extensive practice and research, in pronouncing this name. So, and he knows that his nephew is doing exceptionally well in pronouncing his name. So Father Sumo, we want to say thank you again for following us.
You're trying to patronize Father Sumo here.
No, we want to recognize that and pay that special respect. And also, you got Uncle Jerome. He's having fun on here on the phone. It's a little tricky. A little tricky with me, especially with Uncle. I'm so used to calling him Uncle Jerome from the days of Sunday school at St. Peter's. So and I know he doesn't mind me just calling him Uncle Jerome. The guy always be his nephew.
Oh my God!
Exactly.
We got Dr.
Yes.
We got Dr. Swa watching. Dr. Swa,
Right.
please, if you can, Moses.
That's what they call me.
Right.
So we will let him know who I'm going to deal with and where we come from. So it's good.
Yeah. So from back in the days with B. Sue and Uncle Jerome, so we're just so used to calling that name. But I would try as much as possible to get the the legal title added to it. Someone told me one time, I mean, look, I'm a doctor now. Can you call me doctor? I said, oh, sorry. but he's always my Uncle Jerome.
So the comment from Dr. Dennis, Moses Swa Dennis.
Yeah, and I was just going to that. The president of Cllr, the Reverend Dr. Moses Swa Dennis, he's following in the chat group. He said that this is a great topic, and he's going to follow from the beginning to wherever we're going to stop. So, Reverend, it's not a mistake that you can see this comment, out there from our Reverend, the Reverend Dr. Moses Dennis. So, he's following. We know that Dr. Allison is also following. The rest of the folks, they are all following too. To our people there in Lusaka, Zambia. And I also want to say this, that I had a conversation with a colleague from the I Am a Lutheran social media page, Facebook page. I Am a Lutheran, over 70,000 Lutherans from all over the world. I had a conversation with a colleague there in Tanzania. So the same thing that is going on in Lusaka, Zambia, we are having similar conversations. So this is an interesting opportunity, and we are still working. Working
Will
on.
It don't means your words. Will it don't means your words. When you are on my Lutheran Connections TV, you are heard in Lusaka, Zambia.
You are heard. Absolutely.
You are heard.
No, I just wanted to add that we are still working on having a program aired locally in Liberia. In Liberia, sometimes there could be there are some challenges, but we are working on that. But in Lusaka, Zambia, you are being heard. So, Uncle Jerome, Brother Joseph Roberts, so just be aware that you are being heard in Lusaka, Zambia. We are also working with our partners through our brother Batam Abel Lewali, with partners there in Australia. We are working with them.
Yes.
There's a Lutheran radio station there in Australia. We are working with them too to have the program be aired in Australia. So
we are very optimistic about the Australian relay, because the Lutheran folks there are very excited. They are impressed about it. It is something they also want to do, and so they're always throwing in and follow very well. Jackson Akawaya, also in Nigeria.
And don't forget our Lutheran brother in India.
India.
Our Lutheran brother in
Right.
India. I think it's Alfred. I think one Alfred. He's there
Yeah.
in India. So yes, our Lutheran brother in India. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
So, folks, thank
Just
you.
go
Those
ahead.
of you who tune in, we have Councillor Jerome Kolleh, who's giving expert legal opinion here on the ensuing verification exercise. This is from his personal perspective, his professional perspective. This has nothing to do with the verification committee's position. No, Joe Rabos here is not speaking in his capacity as treasurer of Aliyah. He is speaking from a professional standpoint and a Lutheran who's interested in seeing that the verification process goes on successfully, so that we can accrue the economic benefits, that the church deserves. So thank you for tuning in and watching. We will go back to our guests, and we will be closing in the next 3 to 4 minutes. We will go to our guests for their parting comments. We will go to Joe Rabas for his parting comments. After that, we go to Councillor Kolleh for his parting comments, and then from there, Willie and I will close. So, Joe, it's over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and Willie, and thank you guys for this Lutheran Connection. It's one of the best media we have right now in the 21st century for us. All I want to say to all of our Lutherans that I want all of us to embrace this verification committee that has to be done. It's going to do something very good for the for LCA in the future. It has a dividend economic benefit to it. There are a lot of opportunity, economic opportunity that the assets we have that we can utilize and change the entire scope of LCF for the 21st century. But we cannot do all of those things that we do not even know what we have. What are the assets, the benefit that we have that we're not tapped into? The human resources, the property, even looking at our financial aspect to see as to whether are we spending money in the right place, are we spending money in the wrong place? All of these things will help the new administration and future administration to come. This is not for one person. This is for LCA, and this is for LCA in the future. So thank you so much, and I hope everybody understands and embrace this initiative. It will be very, very beneficial to LCA.
Thank you, Joe, and we're very proud that you are here today with us, sitting with us, and having this important conversation. We will always try our best to bring you on whenever we need be. Councillor Kolleh, it's up to you. Your parting comments.
Yeah, we want to say thanks to you guys for this platform. Thanks to Willie, who seems to be the brain behind it, for initiating it. And thanks to all of you that have joined him in giving him support to keep it on. It's a wonderful platform. And we think it's good to have the church members educated and informed as to what's happening back home. And even we here get to know what's happening with you guys out there, because as you speak of Aliyah, as you speak to other Lutherans that are out there, in Canada, we get to know how they are faring there. And at least we also help to calm the nerves of family members back home, knowing that the assemblies on our end are doing fine. So it's a good platform. When it comes to discussion of the church and its growth, it's also a wonderful thing to know that these things can happen. And we want to keep encouraging you guys to add enough professionalism to it, to add enough steam that will give you the credibility it needs, because we want something that can help us out there to keep us informed about happenings in our church. We want to encourage, I want to join Joe in encouraging every one of us to be welcoming and supportive to the concept of the asset verification. And it's something that has good meaning and can bring dividends to the church in terms of knowing what your assets are, what your expertise are in terms of human and material resources, and then how you can harness it. Because when we know we got out there, then we can begin to make plans to make the best of it, so as we get it desired dividend. We want to say to the church that as good as this concept is, as good as this plan is, as good as it has the potential to generate positive outcomes, the way to go about it is very important in generating those positive outcomes. If we take the wrong approach, of course, we will get a desired result. If the right approach is taken, we get a desired result. And so those approaches begin first is showing that those you have on the committee has got the expertise to do the work, has got the time to do the work, and are committed to helping the church because you have money. And then even at that, we still show that we get lay people or other individuals who have the expertise that can be deployed and paid to go out there to gather this information, to show this information on there, to take data as to what where, and how can it be found and other things to bring it back. Maybe the guys with expertise don't have the time to go there because of their work, but we can find people with competence, getting some basic brush up, and send them out there who know what to do and what to gather information and bring it, because this is a worldwide process. We need to know. Joe was talking about Joe was talking about LTR, how it became what it is, what is responsible, how can we improve. Because you want to make sure that if you went back to work on it, you don't get back the same result. Because if you know what caused you to go there, you will guard against those things. So the access verification can also bring out that in terms of knowing what really led to it going there and how can we avoid some of those things. So we got other places. You talk about current there, got a big forest with rubber there. How can we make a use of that rubber farm and get the best out of it? So yes, there's a lot we can get out of this process, but we must ensure that the appropriate mechanism is taken, the appropriate experts are used, and the right result is gotten. Let us not let money syndrome be another problem to hit and hinder us, and we'll go running, just doing any kind of thing, and then we'll not get a desired result. Let us be sure that it's not intended to target people or to get at people. And once that is done, we'll get a desired result. Thanks for the invitation. I'm always willing to be available. Once you call me and I have the time, I will come. I hope that since the first time I couldn't come at all, the second time I came partially in with my voice and I'm a person. Maybe the third time now, I will come both with questions. So maybe my appearance in these stages. Okay, so I show the next time.
You just took the word from my mouth.
Wonderful time. And Joe, thank you for your presence. I think your contribution was worthwhile. No wonder why you are the treasurer, because indeed you spoke well and you got your acts together. So thank you for being there, and thanks to you and Aliyah for all you do for us back here. We thank you and God bless.
Yeah, Councillor, that was quite interesting. You just took the word from my mouth that your appearance is in stages. I was going to say that, but we are exceptionally glad and grateful that the both of you agreed to sit with us today for this important discussion. I know many Lutherans have understood clearly what the verification process is going to be about, not with specific reference to the committee's strategy or approach, but giving a semblance of what is expected to come. And I think that is very crucial. It gives every one of us the mindset to brace ourselves for what is to come, which is very crucial. We enjoy your expertise, opinions. You did extremely well. You dealt with the legal aspect of it. What should we expect? What needs to be done by the leadership? And what will be the implications if we chose a qualified firm versus using a set of volunteers from the church? What the outcomes will be. I think that is very helpful. The entire leadership follows this program from the bishop down to the rest of the people. I'm sure they took note very well. Joe, you were able to bring up specifics with respect to the benefits that the church stands to gain, how we can transform some of those assets that we have into economic benefits. The soil is an investment bank. We can make a better use of it. We have some farms across the country that we can use to invest and be able to get returns. But we need to understand the state they are in right now. We need to understand how many of them we have, where we have them. There are a lot of implications. Some of the members of the church have owned a partial portion of some of those properties. Willie knows what I'm talking about. Some of the real estate, some of those buildings, and institutions that we have. All of these legal in play. I really hope that the leadership will speak with people like Councillor Kolleh when it comes to this. I know that the church has a legal team, but Councillor Kolleh's opinion here today just speaks volumes in terms of his understanding of what is supposed to happen. And I'm sure the church would like to speak with the Aliyah folks. Again, this is not to overburden Aliyah, but Aliyah is a strategic partner to the LCL. And we do understand that this is going to require a huge amount of funding. And if that has to happen, institutions will have to support the endeavor. So we look forward to a proposal from the LCL that we all can read and understand the way they're going to proceed with this, what they want to get out of it, how they want to proceed with it, and how does it benefit the church. Those critical questions have to be answered. So today it was me and Willie, and we will be here next Sunday. But don't forget, the verification committee has been set up, and my understanding, this is not official. I have not seen the list. My understanding is that is headed by Sandra Howard. Willie, you heard that from the bishop himself the last time when he sat with us, right?
Yes, he said the committee has been set up. We got some backdoor information,
Right.
unconfirmed, that
Yes.
the committee has been set up. So, and the bishop told us that on his next visit, he will be, giving us a full disclosure of, but he wanted to meet with those that are appointed to
Right.
accept the nomination first to serve on the committee before he can, make that public. So, yes, we got some, my grandfather told me a story before that sometimes what people do in the interior, they put their ears to the ground and listen. And when the others are coming, they will hear the sound. So, they might not see them physically, but we lay our ears to the ground and we were able to gather some information.
I got you. I got you, Willie. We'll keep our ears to the. We'll keep our
Yeah,
ears to
keep
the
our
ground.
ears close to the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, folks, there you have it. Another round of exciting discussions here today. Very pleased. I don't even want to leave our guests because they were so effective in providing the kind of information that we needed. So, Dr. Dennis, I'm glad you came on and you made comment that this was very educational. I'm sure this will lead to something else in terms of discussion with the LCL about this going forward. Willie, that's it from my end. You can take it over, and then
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Big Joe. We want to say thanks to Brother Joseph Roberts, a very fine gentleman. I've worked with him on several committees in Aliyah. He has just shown to us his commitment to our church by coming to spend this number of time here to help provide, very, very important information, critical piece of information as regards to the economic benefit of this entire process, and also to Councillor Kolleh. Thank you very much. There are two sides to everything. You got the economic side, and you also got the legal side. We should look at it from a legal perspective. And I for one didn't know. I was only running like, okay, I mean the economic benefit and what all it's going to do for us. But the piece that you provided also to Uncle Jerome, want to say thank you very much. I think like I would share with you too that the church or the administration leadership should be thinking about this. That the legal aspect, they should be thinking about it as well. But again, today has been a wonderful time. Very, very great. Very, very important conversation. We want to say thanks to all of those our followers that have followed us. Again, please join us next week Sunday. Before next week Sunday, Joe, I just want to quickly go over one thing that by next Sunday we hope to bring the National Lutheran Youth Fellowship. They've been away for some time. They've been having some lot of great work going on at Camp KP and so many other projects they've been taking. Yeah, so the young people will be here. They are currently in Lofa. So they are doing some work there with the young people. So they're going to be here next Sunday. And the Sunday after that, we're going to have again the president and the National Lutheran Men Fellowship. We hope to have the president of the National Lutheran Women Fellowship on the third Sunday. We hope to have them. So, we are having a fellowship series. So we are having the youth, the men and the women will be coming. And then after that, the Sunday after that will be our regular hour with the bishop. And then we will be, preparing for November. But again, we want to say thank you very much for being there. And we just wish everyone a blessed week. Have a blessed week, everybody.